Alright everyone, you may have seen some scenes from the Juggalo March in DC, and then there was also the Mother of All rallies at the same time with a bunch of Trump fans. And a lot of people, earlier they were suggesting, well, this is probably going to become violent, all those Juggalos, they're like a gang, and they're going to attack the Trump supporters, and the Trump supporters are all like Nazis, they're going to attack the Juggalos because they're in clown makeup. And no, what actually ended up happening is they were like hanging with each other at certain locations and having a good time. They were listening to music and stuff. Like, just because you have some like older Trump fans and they're listening to like you know, hillbilly music, and then someone shows up listening to like clown rap or something, so who cares? They're all Americans. One thing, I'll tell a funny story here from high school actually regarding Juggalos. When I was in health class, I think it was 10th grade, although it may have been 11th. I can't remember. And our curriculum was messed up. Like, they had the abstinence-only fuckwads come in and say, oh, you know, AIDS can get through a condom and you will get pregnant if you have sex. And this is in Vermont, mind you, in the relatively recent years. So it shouldn't have been like this. But they had, like, the abstinence-only people, and they were telling us, oh, yeah, they had that one dude in that I've talked about before that didn't even know what part of the mescaline plant that you took. And I'm pretty sure he was, like, a prisoner. They, like, clean him up and bring him in and say, okay, tell him some horror stories about drugs. You know, you don't know anything about them because you've never done any of them. But just lie to them and scare them straight, keep them off the sauce, basically. And so he thought, oh, you took mescaline root. Yeah, like, that's going to do a lot. Okay, you took a cactus root. You didn't even touch the buttons. Okay, you know what you're talking about. Fucking loser. But they showed us this one film. And it was on cult activity and mental illness, actually. I don't know why this was part of the health class. And it was like a satanic panic style film. Like, there was this one, they didn't show us the whole film because myself and a couple of the others, like the back row kids, you know, we were the children who laughed at things that were kind of inappropriate. We lost it at one point because they were showing part of a black metal video, and the dude's sitting there like, you know, they got the death metal and black metal blasting, and then they've got these pictures of like dudes in corpse paint, and they're like drinking blood out of fake skulls and stuff. Oh, I thought that was hysterical. And we laughed so hard at that they didn't show us the rest of the film. But before that, there was I think it was 20 minutes on Juggalos. Oh, well, the FBI, you know, thinks these are problematic. Look at these problem kids, and it shows them like smoking weed, drinking, and you know, dancing around scantily clad, you know, clown women and stuff. And I'm like, well, so who cares? Why? How does that make him a gang? The FBI literally classifies it as a gang. I'm sorry, but just because somebody has a Hatchet Man sticker on their car doesn't mean that they're a gang member. It means, I guess, they like ICP or something like that. And is that really that edgy? Take a listen at some point to the music that's on any modern radio station. Like, they cover like the modern hip-hop and pop and stuff. It's way edgier than anything you got from ICP like 10 years ago. I'm sorry, but their big claim to fame is wondering about how magnets work. I'm sorry, I'm not compelled to think that this is an actual gang movement. Because it's not. So they wear makeup. So do black metal fans. They wear like corpse paint and go out and have a good time. That doesn't make them a gang. It just means that it's like saying the Kiss Army were a gang back in the 1970s. Did anybody try to classify them as one? Oh, they're wearing makeup and like leather shirts, and they're all listening to the same band. And some of them do drugs, or they drink or ride motorcycles. Wow, this is a terrible problem. They tried to convince us. They're like, if we were listening to the wrong music, I guess. Like, if you listen to metal, you'll start drinking blood out of a skull, and you'll be on heroin or something. If you listen to ICP, you'll get indoctrinated into a gang, and then they have like the sob story. Oh, this young girl was like the perfect grade A student, you know, very, very Americana, and then she listened to ICP just once. And it was the same bullshit story about weed or any of these other things. Little Jimmy, he was active in his church choir, he got straight A's, captain of the football team, had the loving, you know, obviously virginal girlfriend, and then he started hanging with the wrong crowd, and Jimmy took marijuana, and then Jimmy took cocaine, and then Jimmy moved to Miami and set up a brothel. It's basically, it's the bullshit story that we all got in high school. I'm sad to say it's still ongoing that they try to indoctrinate people in this. It's just like the DARE bullshit. Dare to say no to drugs, kids. You know, you probably have never actually seen them, except we're showing them to you now and telling you, wow, look at all the cool things that can happen if you take drugs. You know, just say no, you know, and until you've been told that, you didn't know you could say yes. Like, it wouldn't be in anyone's mind to bother. So I never thought Juggalos were a gang. I find them, I find the whole symbology that they use, like the paint and stuff, I find it amusing. I find it a little bit cringy at times, depending on the person, depending on what specifically they're doing. And I'm not a fan of ICP. But to call them a gang and expect there to be violence because more than 2 Juggalos are gathered together in one spot, who cares? It doesn't matter if they go to some, like, a musical festival or some Juggalo gathering. Okay, so they smoked pot. What's the big deal? They had beers. One of them was only 20 when they drank a beer. Oh no, I'm sure that corrupted them for life. They're listening to music that has, like, swear words in it. Ooh, it's terrible. We've never heard that before. Normal people don't patronize this kind of nonsense. Meanwhile, you've got, like, the more moralistic Trump fans. I mean, they're showing the crowd, and it's like a lot of these people are on the older side. They're, like, in their 50s or 60s or something. And they're listening to, like, the banjo music and stuff. And they're waving the Gadsden flag, saying, oh, Trump, you know, MAGA, make America great again. And the Juggalos show up. And they're doing the same thing, only they're wearing, like, you know, kind of rap artist makeup or something. And it was great fun. Posobiec was actually posting about that and having a good chuckle because there were so many people, I guess they thought, that these two groups were, like, dichotomous opposites. And that as soon as they were in proximity to each other, they'd be beating on each other. And it just didn't happen. So I thought, generally, both of these rallies went off well. Like, if there had been substantial violence, it probably would have been Antifa. Showing up and throwing piss bottles at a bunch of people in clown makeup. And that would have been surreal, and the Juggalos would have beaten them into the ground, probably. They would have had the same result if they had gone after the Trump fans. Probably the far left was worried about showing up because they knew better than the FBI apparently knows and thought, well, these Juggalos, they probably like Donald Trump generally. They probably do. I don't think that it's like some far left anarchist clown movement. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's not. So it was funny to watch this story unfold. It was funny to watch people worrying that there would be violence. And there was some reason to believe, like, there might be sporadic outbreaks. You know, someone gets drunk or something, you know, and starts throwing punches. But that doesn't mean that the whole movement begins to fall apart because there's a couple people that get violent. No, violence starts when Antifa shows up. Or when a bunch of pink-haired people show up to ramble about misogyny. That's when the violence begins because they're the ones that don't have self-control and they start attacking people. It's pretty funny. The Juggalos have more self-control than Antifa does. That doesn't say good things about Antifa. Again, because, you know, a lot of people, they consider it kind of cringy, kind of sketchy or whatever. And they're like, oh, well, they're, you know, drinking, what is it, Faygo or whatever that drink is that they allude to, and smoking pot and stuff. And yet they were like a shining example of Americana compared to the far left in this country. Isn't that hilarious that we've gotten to that special point in our society? You know, I don't have any problem with Juggalos. Again, I say that as someone who thinks that the way that they dress, it's not exactly something that I would be into. I think they do more of the, it's almost rave style if you look at it. It's a lot of neon colors along with that black. Whereas Antifa, they throw some red on to symbolize, you know, the blood that they are about to shed when they punch random passers-by and throw rocks at the police. Because that's what they hope. They hope for bloodshed and chaos and stuff like that. That's what they're into. Maybe it's some sort of weird turn-on for some of these people. I guess the world may never know. That's about all. Peace out.